Hello everyone and welcome back. The Year 9 Season 3 designer patch notes are here. This is for the test server, and to be honest, a lot of it is the stuff that you've already seen in the reveal, or if you've seen my early access video which I posted yesterday. If you haven't, I recommend checking it out, but a lot of it is stuff we have already seen officially. However, there is some stuff which they didn't really dwell on in the reveal, and as well as this, I didn't put in my previous video. So we're going to focus on those ones in the Year 9 Season 3 patch notes. Just want to say, if you enjoy, hit that like button and consider subscribing. It's free and it helps me greatly. So the first one we're going to get into is a nerf to proximity alarms and a buff to claymores. Now, they went over this very briefly in the reveal. They just said that they're going to look into stuff, but we actually have what the specific thing is here for both of them. And I'll start with the one which makes a bit more sense. I think some people may dislike this because of what it's going to imply, but that is a Claymore buff, and claymores will now instantly explode the moment you hit the laser. So instead of being able to jump out the window and then shoot the claymore quickly before it explodes, that delay is not going to be there anymore. The moment your foot hits that laser, it's an instant detonation. Now, I imagine this was implemented alongside Skopos because when you switch to the active shell, someone could have put a claymore by it, and maybe there was a little period of time where she could have shot the claymore before it killed her. So it looks like for this season going forward, they just want to round it off across the board that claymores will be an instant detonation and there'll be absolutely no delay to it. This is a significant buff to claymores, and it's going to make runouts and especially jump outs of windows severely more dangerous and risky. I personally don't think that's a bad thing. I think players should be punished for playing like that and not clearing claymores, because you still can do that. You could maybe bring Solace to see if the claymore's there, bring a Tuberao to disable it, or an EMP on a bulletproof camera, or even a mute jammer. So claymores are going to be much more reliable now, and I think this definitely makes a lot of sense. But we're going to move over to the one for the proximity alarm, because I don't think I like this one. Basically, they are removing the points from proximity alarms. So if an attacker detonates a proximity alarm, you will not get points on your screen telling you that it is detonated. Now, there is a very clear reason why this has happened, because they've never done this before to proximity alarms, but now they're doing it the moment after Sentry gets added. If you're not aware, Sentry, who is a remastered version of the old recruits, has the ability to bring 2 of any secondary gadget, a thing that no other operator can do. Of course, his attacking counterpart, Striker, can do the same, but with the attacking gadgets. So with Sentry being able to bring 2 secondary gadgets, that means he was able to bring a proximity alarm and a nitro cell. And being honest, Sentry doesn't really have that much use. On attack, bringing 2 secondary gadgets can be beneficial because you can bring EMPs and hard breach, or flashes and nades. There's a lot of stuff that Striker can do, and Striker is actually a very good attacker. But her defensive counterpart Sentry, however, doesn't really have that much use. Because a lot of the primary gadgets on defense are basically better versions of a lot of these secondary weapons, there's not really a point in running Sentry. Why play Sentry and bring a bulletproof camera and observation blockers when I can play Maestro, who can bring 3 bulletproof cameras, his evil eyes, which can also shoot, and observation blockers on him? Why play Sentry and bring barbed wire with impact nades when I can just play Melusi, have 4 banshees, and a pocket shotgun? Unfortunately, the gimmick of having 2 secondary gadgets doesn't work as well on defense. There's simply always going to be a better option than bringing a Sentry. However, very early on, a lot of players realized that there was something unique that you could do with Sentry, and that was a strat with a proximity alarm and a nitro cell. Placing a proximity alarm on a doorway or a window, and then prepping a nitro cell below that location, meant if anyone entered that location, detonated the proximity alarm, Sentry would have got an indication on his screen saying that that proximity alarm has been detonated, and then the moment you get those points for the detonation, you detonate the nitro cell and it will kill the person who was in that active proximity alarm area. This gave a purpose for Sentry. It allowed them to do something which you actually can't do on many operators, and although Sentry is pretty underpowered and there's not really much point in bringing him, this actually gave him something unique. However, one season later, they are now removing the points from proximity alarms, and this is across the board, so this will affect all operators who use proximity alarms. But it is very clear that this was targeted specifically because of the strat with Sentry. I mean, they even mentioned that in the patch note itself. And listen, you can still do this strat, you still can detonate it the moment you hear a proxy go off, but I just don't feel like we need to be in the position of nerfing Sentry at this point. If they wanted to remove the points from a proximity alarm, I'd actually be okay with that. I think it's fair that you have to listen out for the alarm rather than getting the points on your screen. But they could have done that at any point in the proximity alarm's existence. But the moment that this actually benefited an operator and was the only thing keeping him relevant, I think we should have maybe buffed Sentry a little bit or looked into different avenues of making him stronger before removing this feature from proximity alarms, which will affect all operators, but mostly Sentry the most. This was just one of the very few things that kept Sentry playable for some people, and with this now being nerfed, I don't see why you should ever pick a Sentry at any point in this game. I think Striker is actually a very strong operator, but I cannot say the same for Sentry. So yeah, I am a bit surprised by those changes. I don't really like that change to proximity alarms, at least right now. The R4C has received a nerf. The magazine now has been nerfed to 25 bullets from 30, and her overall reserve of bullets is now 151, down from 181. This, of course, affects not only Ash, but Ram, but I feel like this was definitely focused more on Ash, and we'll actually read what they say. So they say, our intention when reducing the R4C magazine size is to balance Ash's overall effectiveness and the number of gunfights she can engage in before needing to reload. A smaller magazine encourages more thoughtful ammo management, reduces sustained firepower, and limits the angle she can pre-fire. R4C users will need to be more precise with their shots. This change distinguishes the R4C from other options available. The G36C on Ash or the LMGE on Ram, encouraging players to reevaluate the advantages of each weapon and choose the best one that suits their need. Now, I think this is somewhat of a strange change. A lot of us actually prefer using the G36C to begin with anyway over the R4C on Ash, and when it comes to Ram, it's a different weapon category. Changing the R4C isn't going to push someone into wanting to play the LMG more. They're two different weapon categories. If I want to play the LMG on Ram, I'll play the LMG. If I want to play the R4C on Ram, I'll play the R4C. I guess in Ash's case, they are both assault rifles, but a lot of us actually prefer the feeling of the G36C, hence why you still see a lot of G36C players on Ash, even since the R4C got its ACOG. I mean, at least I'm grateful that this isn't like another recoil nerf or she's losing the ACOG. I don't think any attackers will lose ACOG ever again. I think they've pretty much set in stone that all attacks should have ACOG. I have my hot take that all defense shouldn't have ACOG, but that's, you know, a conversation for another time. So at least it is only a magazine and bullet reduction and not damage or recoil. There's a few other things I did miss though. You can deactivate motion blur as a new option. Reverse friendly fire won't automatically deactivate if you revive a teammate you downed. That teammate will then have to vote if that was intentional or not, even though they're still alive. A bunch of operators are now cheaper. Ram is 20,000 renown or 480 R6 credits. Grim is 15,000 or 360 R6 credits, and Osa is 10,000 or 240 R6 credits. Tower and Emerald Plains have been added to the map training mode, and they've also made the menu just a bit smoother. Match replay has been added for team deathmatch. Snipers Only has been completely removed from the arcade playlist, and Weapon Roulette is now a free-for-all mode instead of a team deathmatch mode. And the only thing really worth talking about is that Siege has changed its API, so you can't use Vulkan anymore. It now uses the DX12 graphics API, and you also have the option of running the DX11 one. Of course, this only affects PC, but we'll have to do more testing on this. I've not really done a lot of testing. I kind of didn't even really think about it or notice it when I played it on the preview. But we'll see how it affects frames, graphics, and all that. So yeah, it is going to be quite interesting to save Bite of Vulkan, because I have been playing on the Vulkan API for, you know, years at this point. So we'll just have to see which one is better. But yeah, for the most part, that's kind of the stuff worth talking about. I'll leave the patch notes in the description if you want to read them for yourselves. But yeah, Proxy and Claymore, definitely the biggest things which I missed in the previous video. Be sure to let me know your thoughts about it. Drop a like on this video if you did enjoy. Subscribe if you're new. Shall catch you later. I love you all. Stay safe. Peace.